Peak recruiting season is here for Nebraska, and the Huskers have gone to work trying to land some of the best prospects in the country, 4 stars, 5 stars, all the way down the line. So in today's video, I'm going to update you on everything going on behind the scenes for Nebraska, some good and bad news at wide receiver, some blue chips we're getting close to landing, along with some players we're about to miss out on, a flip who's going to leave Nebraska's class in the next couple of days, a big issue for the Huskers at tight end. Will Nebraska actually land a top 50 offensive lineman in America? An update around the defensive line class. Is it still struggling? Some flips coming soon. A 5-star commit expected this month. Some more official visits that need to be scheduled. Everything you need to know, and so much more. So real quick, this is a loaded, jam-packed update. Nebraska recruiting, some huge news presented to you by Prize Picks. I'm fired up. You are too. Hit that like button. And also, this is the only channel on Nebraska YouTube that works hard every single day to keep you informed with the Huskers, whether it's football, basketball, recruiting, just like this. Transfer portal breaking news. Stay informed with the Huskers. It's completely free. Takes 2 seconds. Join the family. Hit that subscribe button. Thank you so much. But without further ado, we have a lot to talk about. Peak recruiting season is here. It's already April. It's already mid-April. The month is going by quickly. And when you're looking around America, you're starting to see a lot of big-time recruits getting off the board, committing to schools in the Big Ten, in the SEC, and Nebraska is about to join the pack again. You're going to see a lot of commits this month, but really May is going to be hectic. June is going to be crazy. And after that, Nebraska's class is really going to settle down. We only have 7 commits as it stands by the time we get to late June. That'll be bolstered up to, at the very minimum, 20, if not 25. So it's going to be absolutely crazy. Let's begin with the hot topic for the Huskers, though. We're going to talk about this entire recruiting class, some big news all the way down, some good and bad news. But let's begin with the wide receiver position for Nebraska. Now, let's go to the good news first. Of course, it was announced a couple days ago. Tay Ellis is staying with Nebraska. He's completely shut down his recruitment. He visited Miami last weekend, which was completely out of the blue. It was completely shocking. We had no idea why he visited Miami. It's like, okay, you've been committed to Nebraska for some time now. You've been an ambassador for this class. Miami probably is not going after you very, very strongly. Like, they want some 4-star, 5-star guys. So that was always shocking that, Tay Ellis even visited in the first place. Obviously, you heard, some questions from the fan base, and he immediately said, hey, I was just going over there for fun, but I'm completely locked in with Nebraska. So great news there around Tay Ellis. The issue is that he's not the only Husker receiver on Flip Watch. Caden Howard, the more this recruiting process goes on, the more and more it looks like he's going to flip away from Nebraska. Now, he just earned an offer from Central Florida a couple days ago. Central Florida's been recruiting him for a while. He's visited Central Florida multiple times as of last week, but they haven't offered him until now. So Central Florida, Scott Frost in the mix. Miami has also entered the mix. He visited Miami a couple days ago. So my read on the Caden Howard situation, simply this: it looks like he committed to Nebraska kind of as a safety option, where, again, if his recruitment doesn't blow up, he'll sign with Nebraska. He'll be a Cornhusker. But if his recruitment does blow up and he gets the offers he wants, he's going to flip away to maybe a better program in his eyes. Again, Central Florida's not a better program. We know who Scott Frost is. I don't wish Scott Frost. I don't wish harm on Scott Frost, but he's not a very good coach. But if Miami doesn't come in a ball offer, yeah, it looks like Caden Howard probably won't stay with Nebraska at this point in time. So wanted to update you on that situation. So for all intended purposes, the Huskers probably only have 1 wide receiver commit in this class, that being Tay Ellis, and we still need a blue chip, right? We still need somebody who we believe can start day one, who's a 5-star, 4-star guy. Tay Ellis is a really good prospect, but he's not that. Who can we get in this class who is a 4-star, who is a 5-star? Well, Khalil Taylor's the number 1 guy that probably comes to your head. It's not looking good for Khalil Taylor, where, right, as of a couple weeks ago, Nebraska was kind of the runner-up in this process. Georgia's been making a huge push, but it was just announced a couple days ago that Penn State right now, they have surged, become the favorite for Khalil Taylor. He's visited Penn State literally 17 times. He's originally from Pennsylvania. He was originally a Nittany Lion commit before he decommitted with James Franklin being fired. But right now, it looks like Nebraska probably 4th, maybe 5th on his list, not really turning in a great direction. You also have Indiana in the mix for him, a couple other big-time programs. So at this point in time, not betting on Khalil Taylor committing to Nebraska. He does have a really good relationship with Trey Taylor. Again, he's known Trey for a very long time. He's one of the fast receivers in America. You never want to say never there, but right now, again, he grew up to be a huge Nittany Lion fan. Georgia, we know how good they are. It's going to be very tough for him to commit to Nebraska over these 2 programs, but that's the stats around Khalil Taylor. As for the other wide receivers Nebraska's pursuing, again, Quinn Burrell, we like for him to potentially get an official visit to Nebraska. Just not betting on this one either. Again, he's out of Chicago's own backyard. He was teammates with Kalama Puma. He's a top 100 prospect in America at 6'2", 6'3". But right now, Nebraska, I don't even know if we're in his top 5. We are not in his top 5. You have Notre Dame, you have Michigan, you have Missouri, you have ASU, you still have Penn State in there. He has a bunch of SEC offers as of recently. So Quinn Burrell, there's a chance he could visit Nebraska for an OV, and we'll talk about that at the end of the video, what we're expecting from official visits. But Quinn Burrell also just not betting on it. And then Matthew Gregory announced a couple days ago that he potentially wants to visit Nebraska for an OV, while the Huskers are not one of his favorite schools. You have, Penn State in the process. You see a common theme where Penn State's going after all these guys. LSU's in the process, Notre Dame's in the process. He still might take a visit to Nebraska, but just not betting on Matthew Gregory. So you kind of see a common theme with the Huskers at wide receiver. It's not looking good. It's not looking good, at least from a blue chip standpoint. Now, don't get me wrong. Like Isaiah Alvarez, he's scheduled an OV to Nebraska. I think the Huskers are the favorite to land him. You still got Nico Bland. Huskers are trying to flip him away from Arizona State 4-star. He could take an OV, but again, we have a 5-star worthy quarterback in Trey Taylor. I don't even know how we're going to be sitting here potentially without a blue chip receiver to pair alongside him. That's almost unheard of. And honestly, I'm disappointed more and more with Nebraska receiver coach Da'Keil Shorts. Now, this is probably a conversation for another day, but when we hired Da'Keil Shorts from Kentucky, the big thing around him was that, he was a great recruiter. Who is Da'Keil Shorts landed for Nebraska receiver since he was hired here? Again, Cortez Mills, I guess, but Cortez Mills didn't flip to Nebraska because of Da'Keil Shorts. Da'Keil Shorts was literally on the staff for like 5 days before Cortez flipped from Oklahoma to Nebraska. He flipped because of money, flipped because of TJ Lateef. Isaiah Mozee was a part of this class before Da'Keil Shorts got here. Jeremiah Jones was a part of this class before Da'Keil Shorts got here. We landed, a bunch of 3-stars in last year's class. So Da'Keil Shorts, this is a big class for him to prove that he's a great recruiter, but hopefully we get back in the process here with Khalil Taylor, Quinn Burrell, but we absolutely need a blue chip outside of, a Tay Ellis to pair alongside Trey Taylor. Also, let's get to the tight end position. There's kind of a not great development going on for the Big Red. Charles Davis, who is our second option at tight end, has committed to Cal. Again, 6'5", 200 pounds, coming out of California. I know some people are asking me, they're like, why is he only 200 pounds? Well, most tight end recruits are about only 200 pounds, 210 pounds. There's not a lot of tight end recruits coming out of high school at 16 years old who are 250 like Luke Sorensen. But Charles Davis, really good prospect. Nebraska misses out on him. And you see kind of what's happening here with the Huskers tight end board. We don't have anybody left besides Ahmad Hudson. Look at every single prospect we've offered at tight end. None of them have visited Nebraska. None of them are even interested in Nebraska and Marcus Satterfield. So the Huskers have put all their eggs into one basket. Ahmad Hudson is more up in the air than ever before. LSU has now, had crystal balls in for him for a very long time. Ahmad Hudson's hinted at, potentially being a part of Lane Kiffin's class. At this point, I'm not saying it's over for Nebraska, but I'm just not betting on it. I've never bet on it to begin with because it's going to be a big money recruitment, and also recruitment that comes down to more than just playing time. Like, he wants to be developed at a high level. Who do you trust more, LSU's coaches and Lane Kiffin or Marcus Satterfield, right? That's what Ahmad Hudson's dealing with right now. So assuming Nebraska potentially misses out on Ahmad Hudson, we're in a really bad position at tight end. We're probably going to have to offer like a low 3-star and have him and land him in this class because there's no other prospect who's even interested in us. And we definitely need an elite tight end in this cycle because you look at Nebraska's current room, it's not great. Like Luke Lindenmeyer is graduating after this year. Carter Nelson, is on bus status, right? Markway is not even part of this room anymore. You have a bunch of low 3-stars in there. You feel good about Luke Sorensen, but it's inexcusable if Nebraska can't land a blue chip tight end. It's unfortunate the way things are going with Ahmad Hudson. It's definitely not over, but it would have been nice to have Charles Davis as a backup option. Not the case anymore. That's kind of an issue for Nebraska at tight end. So really quick, man, we are just getting started. Huge update around the offensive line, where Nebraska's defensive line class stands, an update around all the official visitors. But really quick, we have to thank the partner of today's video, Prize Picks, the #1 sports application in America, a daily fantasy sports platform. Again, big shout out to Prize Picks for partnering with me, allowing pour more resources into the channel, videos just like this. You just basically load up the app, you find your favorite team, favorite player, more or less, and a couple statistics. This team's going to win, this team's going to lose. And right now, I have a great deal for every single one of you guys. When you install Price Picks, you use code HMA. I repeat, code HMA. You put in $5, you get $50 back instantly into your account. But please only play responsibly, and if you have the means. But big shout out to Price Picks for partnering with me on the channel. All right, let's get back into the update, man. We are just getting started. Let's get to the offensive line for the Big Red. Also, some good and bad news. You see a common theme with this update. Some bad news, but more than anything, good news. Let's start off with the bad news. Now, Olu, somebody who Nebraska's been in a really good position for, for weeks now, for months now. He visited for the spring game. He visited multiple times, during spring ball at the end of the season. However, his recruiting process is really starting to blow up. You're starting to see Georgia get in the mix, Florida get in the mix, Miami getting in the mix. And although he loves Nebraska, and I think, from a developmental standpoint, from an impact standpoint, Nebraska probably still the #1 on his list. The issue is that it's becoming more and more a big money recruitment. When you are a 5-star tackle at 6'7" like him, Nebraska's not going to land him only offering $600K. This will be a 7-figure guy. This will be 1.2, 1.5. He could end as the number one offensive tackle in America. Does Nebraska have enough money, and are they going to offer enough money to do whatever it takes to get a guy like him? That's my issue, and I don't believe that's going to be the case. It's also very hard to commit to Nebraska, again, just over a team like Georgia, right? Georgia constantly churns out NFL talent. Miami was just in the national title game last year, and they're producing NFL talent as well every single year on the offensive line. So Olu, really, really poor development. Now, we'll see if he takes an official visit to Nebraska. He's not scheduled any OVs just yet. I'd still expect him to potentially get on campus for Nebraska, but not looking as good as what he used to be around him. However, there are still a lot of good news with the Huskers and the offensive line class. Again, Tamialu, do not forget about him. Pretty much a silent commit for Nebraska. Now, again, I'm disappointed that he's committing on July 3rd. It's like, again, he said every single time he's visited Nebraska, he's very close to committing. Then why not commit now? Why not commit, be part of this class, get your spot, and then start peer recruiting for us? So I don't love that he's still committing, in 3 months, but it is what it is. He's pretty much a silent commit for Nebraska. He will visit other programs. Like, again, he will take a visit to Georgia, Florida, Syracuse, Illinois. So that's not great, but Nebraska gets the final visit. I do believe we'll land Tamialu. Again, pretty much a silent commit for the Big Red. Avery Michael is expected to be back for an official visit to Nebraska. He's visiting Oregon. That's the current team he's committed to, but Huskers really impressed him during the spring game. So good news around Avery Michael, very talented tackle coming out of Turlock, California. I think a lot of people just forget about Jordan Agbanoma. Again, Nebraska's been the favorite for him for, again, like 4 months now, 5 months now. Again, he's visiting Nebraska for an OV. You also have Florida in there. You still have Georgia, you have Alabama. Again, he's a top 100 player in America. That's what you'd expect. But Jordan Agbanoma, Nebraska is the favorite there, and he's not going to cost that much money compared to a guy like Olu simply because he's a guard. In the guard market is a lot less than what it is at tackle. And then you even got a guy like Kyler Kuhn, who we feel good about, who's visiting Nebraska for an OV. Now, Huskers are not the favorite here. I'd probably say Penn State's the favorite. He's still got Iowa, but he's going to visit Nebraska for that June 12th weekend, along with the Hawkeyes, the Tigers, and the Lions. But with the way this process is going to go, Nebraska's going to offer more money than all those other schools. Nebraska's going to offer more playing time than all those other schools. We're very, very close to, his hometown, and over there in Kansas City, I do believe we'll land Kyler Kuhn. So overall, will we land Olu? Not looking great, but all 4 of these guys I just mentioned, Nebraska training for him, and that's just the tip of the iceberg with the Huskers offensive line class. As for the secondary, this is really all the good news you need to hear. JuJu Johnson said a couple days ago he's officially on commitment watch. He wants to potentially commit this month, if not early next month in May. He's down to Nebraska, Oklahoma, Miami. Those are the 3 teams to watch out for, but Nebraska has surged to become the favorite. We know that Oklahoma was the favorite in December. But because of all the turnover with Oklahoma's coaching staff, their DB coach left to go to greener pastures, that relationship was completely reset. So he's going to commit to Oklahoma. He pushed back his commitment. Miami, they've been making a good push, but he wants to play day one. Probably not going to have Miami. Nebraska's been going after him for 2 years now. Addis Williams, a great recruiter. JuJu Johnson. If we're talking about who our next commit could be, very well in the picture now. Again, he scheduled official visits for June, but he might just not even take those official visits. He might just say, I'm going to commit to Nebraska now. I might still visit Miami, still visit Oklahoma, but I want to get this process over and done with. And JuJu Johnson, a great development for the 5-star corner out of Long Beach, California. And then again, the secondary class is going to be generational. Like, if I'm going to sell you stock on one piece of this class, it's the secondary, and it's Addis Williams. Corey Hadley, pretty much a silent commit. He's visiting Georgia Tech and Mississippi State for OVs along with Nebraska, and he's not going to commit to those programs. It will be Nebraska. It's been Nebraska. Addis Williams has been recruiting him since Corey Hadley was in 7th grade. So he's had a 4 or 5 year connection with this guy. He's an instant impact guy. Corey Hadley, pretty much part of this class. Tavares Harrington, we've been trending for. We weren't even recruiting this guy like 2 months ago. He's already scheduled official visits to Nebraska alongside Alabama. Now his process is very well wide open. I'm not going to say the Huskers are going to land him just now, but it's a positive development that we're even in this process. We're even being considered in the first place. That's credit to Addis Williams. Kennedy Green, people forget about him. He's still visiting Nebraska for an OV along with South Carolina, probably Mississippi State as well. Really like his game. He'd be a nice fit. You still got Torrey Pittman in this class. People forget about that. Aaron Washington, we're trying to flip him away from USC, a top 10 corner in America. And again, the only bad news really around the DBs as of recently has been Samaj Stanford. He's committing next week. Nebraska out of the mix here. He's down to, I believe, Texas, Oregon, and one other. So Nebraska's not going to land Samaj Stanford. But other than that, again, this class for the DBs is looking generational. And I didn't even mention a bunch of guys. I didn't even mention a guy like a Bryce Williams, who's a crystal ball's in for him to land with the Huskers. I didn't even mention a guy like Jalen Hill, who's visiting for an OV. I didn't even mention a guy like, Kayshawn Telefair, who's still going to visit the Huskers. I didn't mention a guy Like Kamari Whitfield's still going to visit Nebraska. So the secondary class, I mean, I don't even think we're going to land a single 3-star. It's going to be all 4 stars, all 5 stars. And again, that's credit to Ash Williams, the recruiter he is. Hopefully he can stay with Nebraska more than this season, because he's going to be one of the biggest names in the market next offseason. But Ash Williams doing great work for the Huskers in the secondary. All right, let's get to some quick hits on the defensive line before we get to what we need to see from the official visitors for the Big Red. Niamati Obadi had a good article released a couple days ago. He said that Nebraska easily one of his top 3 programs alongside Wisconsin and Minnesota. He's the reason why he likes Nebraska. Number 1, Corey Brown's done a great job since he got hired by the Big Red, but also we're in a really good spot from a playing time standpoint and a financial standpoint. So at least he's honest about Nebraska. We're offering a lot more money than, the Golden Gophers or the Badgers there, but expect to take an official visit to Nebraska, and we need him because this is like the only 4-star defensive lineman we're even pursuing in this class. Xavier Meads, it looked like he was going to commit to Purdue this month. He's pushed back his commitment, so he's still going to visit Nebraska for an OV in June, but still betting on Purdue probably landing his talents. I don't know how really high he is on our board. I mean, he's a decent prospect, but he's a low 3-star, right? So, but he's still on our board. He's not committing to Purdue, at least not now, but still take a visit to Nebraska. Also, Jaden Travers, who we thought was kind of on flip watch, committed to Nebraska for some time now. He is no longer on flip watch. He's not visiting any other programs. He's locked in with Nebraska ever since his spring game visit. He loves Corey Brown, loves Anthony Johnson, our assistant defensive line coach, who doesn't get enough credit. But just update there on Jaden Travers. You don't have to worry about him flipping away anymore. But still, the Huskers, we need probably 3, if not 4 defensive linemen in this class, especially with us not doing anything in last year's cycle. Not only do we need probably 3 interior defensive linemen, we need probably 2 edge rushers. And the edge rusher position is becoming a massive, massive concern for the Big Red. All right, let's talk about what you can expect from Nebraska going forward. Now, the big thing is scheduling more official visits, because I told you guys, if you schedule an OV, it's incredibly important. It means you're in that prospect's top 3, top 4. And all these prospects are going to take their OVs and they're going to commit in late June, if not early July. So if you don't get an OV from a prospect, it means you're not going to land him. That's the way college football operates nowadays. Now, the Huskers, as it stands, they only have 18 uncommitted prospects visiting. I believe it's like 22, 23 total, including our current commits. Ideally, we need to get that list up to 30, if not 35. We need a lot of options. And right now, you look at Nebraska's defensive line board, it's ugly. Again, you got Nehemiah Obadi, you got Meads, but other than that, we're not going after a single other defensive lineman who really is interested in us. So we need to add at least 1 more defensive lineman to the OV list. We need some more edge rushers. We don't have a single edge rusher who's visiting Nebraska for an OV. We thought maybe Miles Smith would get on campus. That's not looking good. So edge rusher and defensive line, a huge issue for Nebraska to this very day. Ideally, you can land a guy like Obadi, but just not betting at this point in time. Receiver, you need to schedule an official for a blue chip receiver outside of Khalil Taylor. Again, ideally Quinn Burrell visits. Ideally, you get maybe Matthew Gregory to visit. So receiver's an issue. Tight end, I would love a second option at tight end. Just get like a 3-star tight end, take an OV, right? Just in case Ahmad Hudson commits elsewhere. But tight end, again, not looking too good. But overall, you just need more blue chips everywhere. I wouldn't mind if we even had a running back visit. I don't think we will. We're only going to take 1 running back in this process. But if Nebraska refuses to take a running back in the portal, it would be in our best interest to take multiple running backs in the high school recruiting ranks to give us multiple options and multiple chances at success. I like Amir Brown's game a lot, but it is what it is. Would prefer if we also landed a 4-star running back to pair alongside him. But overall, need to get this list up to 30, 35. It's still far ways away. Feeling really good about the secondary, feeling good about the linebackers. Defensive line still a very big issue. We'll see, but we're entering peak recruiting season right now. Hopefully this class lives up to expectations. All right, guys, let me thoughts down below, but everything. Hey, made this far on the video. Note to hit the like button, subscribe. Hey, if you ever have any questions, if you ever have any concerns about how hard I work for you guys, man, I'm sick as a dog right now. I'm recording this video at 5 o'clock in the morning because I had food poisoning last night, but I got to get a video out. So I woke up like, I got to get this out for 9 o'clock in the morning. So hey, let me know your thoughts down below. Hey, if you made this far, hit the like button, subscribe. As always, folks, I'll see you in the next one.